my attitude was always, if it's real, it can take the pressure. You know, you don't have to pussyfoot around the real thing. If they're telling you, you know, oh, you must lower your voice and avert your gaze or this and that, then you're probably in the presence of crap. Because the real thing is real. It doesn't demand that you adjust your opinion to suit it. It's real. That means it is preeminent. That means it sets the agenda.
It's almost like an ego thing. Like they don't want to fall prey to some foolishness and then have other people pick apart, you know, what they've done. Like, look at this dummy. He thought that going and taking ayahuasca is going to connect him to the universe. Yeah, all right, Bob. Way to go, pal. Listen, what if I could prove that it takes you to another dimension, and in that other dimension you will see things that you could not possibly have imagined, and you will experience novelty and honesty and wisdom in love in the purest forms possible, like they're waves hitting you while you're standing on the beach. If I could tell you that it was definitely taking you to another dimension, would you go then? I don't know. Here's what I know for sure. If it took you to another dimension and you had that experience, or if you just had that experience in your head, you still had that experience. And it might as well have taken you to another dimension. It might as well. Because the same thing happened. You saw the same shit. You felt the same things. You experienced the same things. You saw it all. It might not have been real, but it might have been real too. It doesn't matter. You still experienced it exactly the same way, as if it did take you to another planet, and you did ride around the rings of Saturn in your underwear. I mean, it really does take you to that place.
Okay, do I try it or do I not? Or,
if you wanted to do something, what I would recommend is going to Peru, doing like an ayahuasca retreat. Do one of those.
What ayahuasca will do is it will find your own weaknesses and then use them to fuck with you. It's like when you're at the final level of a video game. It's like, no, you must fight yourself. You know, like that's what it felt like. So it started preying on my own fears, and I heard a voice telling me exactly what I was scared of, which is, you know, some illness. My family's had some lymphoma issues or something like that. So it basically said, you're gonna die of cancer. You know, say your goodbyes. You're fucking done. You got it now. It's bad. You know, and it was telling me that, and that actually started to shake me a little bit, you know, because I've never had it work against me in that kind of magnitude. You know, I've had visions of things before that were dark, and I always worked through, and it, you know, ended up feeling good, but that was a more challenging experience. And then at a certain point, you know, I had to just apply the same philosophy and say, you know what, if this is the end, I'm gonna have a fucking hell of a 6 months, you know, and I'm gonna do everything I can and enjoy my life. And then boom, that ended. And then finally at that point, I was able to get a sense of peace, and I felt myself getting sucked back down into the earth. Kind of like in the only thing I can describe is that movie Avatar, you know, when the little fibers grow up around the body and it like connects it back down to the earth. I felt this deep relaxation, just like right back down into the earth. And then, you know, that was kind of the end. That was the climax of this first experience for me.
It was really powerful, Joe. Like, I just laid back, and next thing I know, I just heard, "Here we go." And then
They actually said, "Here we go"?
It said, "Here we go." And then bam, I saw all this sacred geometry, which is potentially the language of communication of the universe. I saw all these ones and zeros going across the screen. I heard the sound of coins just clinking, clinking, clinking. I flew through a timeline of my life. It was almost like the ayahuasca was trying to get to know who I was. And so I saw pictures of me pop up on this 3D timeline from when I was 12, 10, then when I was born, and then a photo of my parents before they conceived me. And then all of a sudden, on this big cement wall, almost like the wall behind you, it spray painted the words anxiety, really, really big. And right then, the medicine was telling me that it had figured out what was wrong with me. And the ayahuasca clearly told me, your problem is anxiety. And then right then, I laid back and I felt it crawling through my veins and up into my head. And it almost felt like a fizzing in my head. And at that point, it was telling me, lay back, we're going to take care of this. And I felt like there were, and this is a common vision, that there were all of these like thousands and thousands of little beings or elves on my body, and they were literally going through my cells one by one and reshaping them and perfecting them. And the medicine above all just told me to just lay back and let it work. And then I laid there for probably about an hour, and then had a really powerful vision after that of this like being, this like fairy type thing coming up to me and then sucking out this dark energy. And I saw all of this energy flowing out of my body, these dark, I guess you'd call them spirits, of people who I'd interviewed over the years. And what it was telling me was that as a journalist, I'd been absorbing all of this pain and had it just stored in my body, and that was one of the things that was manifesting itself in the post-traumatic stress disorder. And so it was literally just sucking out all of this dark energy that was shaped in the forms of people I'd interviewed and their faces over the years.
So I'm looking and I was like, all right, I'd like to be, if anything's out there on the other side, please come to me. And I say that to myself in my head. And then bursting through comes this huge dragon, like this giant the dragon head was just 10 feet right in front of me. And it was a silver dragon in the kind of medieval stylings. And it had fluorescent green and blue highlights. And smoke was coming out of his nose. And he was like clearly a fire-breathing type of dragon. And he comes right up to me and he goes, so you want to change the world? And I go, yes. And he goes, why? And he's like flaming coming out of his mouth. And I was like, because that's what I'm here for. And he goes, wah, ha, 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 and laughs. And for whatever reason, I decided to take him like Never-Ending Story, and I just hopped on his back.
What?
At that point, yeah. So I hopped on his back, and he starts cruising, and we're kind of cruising through, and he goes, so why do you want to change the world?
This sounds like a kid's movie.
I know, that's right. It was fully Never-Ending Story. And I go, to help people. And then I thought that was a pretty good answer. And he goes, are you sure? And then right there, he like shows me a cross-section of my life and all my actions. And what he showed me is that even though ostensibly I do a lot of things to help people, there's always a serious component of propping myself up, my own ego, my own persona, my own kind of establishing my own self in the world for, egoistic and pride reasons. And he just showed me this like lucidly clear, that there was a mixture of my actions, and it wanted to...
As with all of us.
Yeah, and he wanted to have me be aware of where that boundary line lie, and not to trick myself or confuse myself in thinking that, what I was doing wasn't also for my own benefit. So I was like, all right, dragon, like 1 point for you. And then so we're cruising, so then we keep cruising, and he starts to really get heated in the mouth, like flame was trickling out, and he goes, what do you want to destroy? And he like swoops down, and I was sure he was ready to just fuck some shit up. So I was like, ignorance. And I thought he was just going to lay the ground with fire, And instead he goes, shouldn't that be what you want to heal? And I was like, yep, I guess you're right, dragon. So he was really like challenging me in these answers that I gave him, which was a pretty interesting kind of experience, for this other entity to be clearly, showing me different sides and teaching me things that I clearly wasn't quite aware of.
Maybe you were. Maybe
I
you
was.
Somewhere in the back of your head were aware of, your shortcomings. Or not even shortcomings, just slight bullshitting.
Yeah, exactly. So he wanted to just carve away all that nonsense and then show me the rest. I get dropped dropped in like a forest, and it was like a woodsy forest, like a Colorado type forest, different than the jungle. And I see a bear, and the bear has a gold crown on its head and a bunch of gold chains all over it. Like
Mr. T-Bear.
Mr. T-Bear, exactly. And the bear is kind of struggling, and I see kind of like a ghost of the bear, like the spirit of the bear, and it's trying to leave the bear's body. It's trying to like venture out, but it's stuck. And then the bear catches sight of me, and that's another crazy thing about seeing these beings. It's like the bear like turns to look at me and like notices me. It's not like he was waiting for me there. He's like, oh, here you are. Like you just showed up. So he turns to me and he goes, I remember before all this crown and all these chains when I was just a bear and I could run free in the woods. And I was like, okay, I get it. And basically what he was trying to tell me is that, don't ever let money and wealth or anything tie you down and like keep you from your freedom and expressing what your real nature is, and it's really kind of like a Buddhist sentiment. I somehow was able to like free the bear's spirit after he said that, and we went like frolicking through the woods.
So
it was real good.
He was your boy?
He was my boy after that. So we like cruised around, and then the final visitation from this being is I was cruising through the forest, like hopping over logs. It was very like Robin Hood cartoon style,
Right.
Little John and Robin Hood through the forest type of program. And then so up, and then all of a sudden I see an eagle up in the sky. And I'd like raise my consciousness to the eagle. It was really like a dream state, so anything's possible, So I just kind of float up to the eagle, and the eagle looks at me, and I'm cruising along. And the eagle says, "Do you know how I see so well?" And I said, "No." He says, "Because I see through everybody else's eyes." And I took a moment to sink in. And what he was showing me there was that also often when we try and imagine what people are thinking or feeling, we have our own bias. We don't actually truly see through their eyes. Like imagine what their fears and motivations and weaknesses, even the people that we don't like, we always see them with this kind of biased look like, oh, that dude's a fucking idiot. But if we really try to get into their eyes, you can learn something about that person and learn something about the world by actually dropping all of your kind of own ego and really assuming the eyes of whatever else you're trying to look at, whether it's an animal or a person or something like that.
Here's the deal. We have the science, the technology, the money, the infrastructure to do almost anything that we want to do. The problem is changing our minds. We have a hell of a time changing our minds, and yet we must. There's no choice about it. The reason I'm a psychedelic advocate is not because I think it's easy or because I think it's a sure thing. I don't think it's easy or a sure thing. It's simply that it's the only game in town. Nothing else can change your mind on a dime like we are going to have to change our minds on a dime. If we had 500 years to sort this out, we could maybe have a fighting chance without radical pharmacological intervention. As it is, if we don't awaken, we are going to let it slip through our fingers. And if hortatory preaching could do it, then the Sermon on the Mount would have turned the trick. It didn't, and it won't. You have to somehow give people an experience that is not somebody else's experience. Their experience that radically recrystallizes their understanding of the world. And these shamanic plants that have been quietly growing and maintaining themselves for millennia are in fact, and for what reason, it's beyond me. For some reason, these are pipelines into a kind of planetary mind. The big bugaboo of Western civilization is that we deny the existence of spirit. It's been a 1,000-year project to eliminate the spirit from all explanations of how reality works, or the personality works, or anything works. The absence of spirit permits the murder of the planet, but the cost of the denial of spirit is life empty of meaning, which doesn't mean we have to return to the world of beady-eyed priestcraft and its slimy minions, but it does mean that we have to recover an authentic experience of the transcendental. And apparently what this means then is fusion with nature, and the psychedelics do this. They dissolve boundaries, they open the way to the Gaian mind.